rather than later, I think. 2-8 last year. One thing about it, and this is the case a lot of times when teams don't quite meet their own expectations, injuries have something to do with that. You have to move guys around. You have to move bodies around. Guys are in uncomfortable positions. Quickly diagnose, if you could, Mark. We'll pick the scab real quick. 2014, what went wrong and maybe what went right that gives you hope for this year?
Well, I would say we had a lot of moving parts, guys playing lots of different positions. We never really got the continuity that we wanted to get, and we did a lot of good things. We had a lot of close games and played some stingy defense at times and really did well, but we never got to the consistency to where we could really finish out those close games, and we struggled a little bit offensively. And so kind of a learning experience, but one you kind of want to take some of the good things and embrace those, but at the same time you want to move forward from the bad and have kind of positive attitude and outlook going this next year. And so we had a lot of kids that got to play a lot of football that are back from that last year's team, and they got to play multiple positions, and so we feel like that's going to be a good thing for us this year.
Who stands out among that group that's coming back? We were talking about Jalen Simpkins in the break and how he's going to play quite a bit of running back this year at 240 pounds, and that's the bowling ball type running back.
Yeah, he's a dynamic kid. He can move around sideline to sideline defensively, an inside linebacker, and then on the offensive side of the ball, he's a hammer, and he can play multiple spots on offense. We can line him up at tight end, at a wing type spot, but most of the time he's going to be back there behind the quarterback, and he's going to be a load to drag down. So he's going to play a lot of football for us, and he's really had a good off season, and we're looking forward for big things from him in all phases of the game.
This is now a point where this is definitely your program. You've been there long enough to where you've seen the freshmen come up to be seniors now. What is the state of West High football in your eyes? Do you like where you're at?
I think that this is a big year for us. We had the league change, and the league it's tough. It's a tough league. It's good football, and so I think we're gonna see this year if we can break through on some of those close games that we had. Did we learn from last year, and do we have the execution and enough depth in place to where we can really kind of get things going like we were the previous 2 years, where we're a little bit much more competitive and really make a good solid run and look at the playoffs and those types of things. And I don't want to think too far ahead down on the schedule, but it's a big year for us, and our expectations are high, and I think the reason our expectations are so high right now is because we do have some good players back and that have played a lot of football, and with the off season I feel like they are definitely better football players, and now it's a matter of the same thing that any coach is going to come here and tell you, you don't want to get hurt, don't want to have anything happen off the field that's going to jeopardize keeping those guys on the field and playing ball.
Sure, and you mentioned that league. I mean, we all know what Ridgeview did last year. We all know what Tehachapi's been doing for 35 years with Steve Tenman up there, and Independence is a program on the rise as well. Is that fun for you? I mean, there's really not a lot of margin for error when you're facing those teams. Golden Valley's a program that's been pretty solid too.
Yes, it's going to be good competition week in, week out, but I think it's good for the kids to be able to know that they're going to have to get up to play well every week, and you want to play good football teams. You want to play good football and not be kind of saying, oh, we got this team this week. I mean, every week is going to be something where the preparation and the effort level has got to be second to none. Otherwise, you're going to get beat. So I think you either embrace it or you shy away from it. We don't have any choice but to embrace it.
Absolutely.
Mark, unlike the other leagues where everybody's kind of finding new coaches here and there, like we just saw with AJ Gass, you guys, other than Lucas Lucero over at Independence, are all, at least you're the youngest guy other than Lucas, and you're in your fourth year now. Do you find that it's easier for you to game plan because you kind of know what each team is doing, or is it harder because you know that they're experienced and they're going to change things up?
And they know what you're doing too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it kind of balances itself out. There is that base familiarity, but the bottom line is year in, year out, high school football, the personnel changes. So you got players coming, players going, especially nowadays with transfers and all the different things go along those lines. So there's the base familiarity that everybody has, but at the same time, you got to look individually because each year all those coaches are good coaches, and they're going to kind of feature offensively that guy that's going to get it done for him, whether it's in the running game or passing game. And defensively, every coach in the league, even though they may be married a little bit to a certain kind of scheme, they're going to play with that scheme to get the most out of it. So it's kind of a catch and go a little bit there.
Let's take a look at your schedule and kind of, mark some games that you've kind of, circled. Obviously, you're not going to play in week 0, so your first game is going to be on the road at Porterville. And then you got a challenge there in week 3 against Chavez, a team that, won the SSL. Any of those games up front, in the first month or so that you're really looking forward to playing?
Reality is we're really not looking past game 1 at
Okay.
Porterville, and they do a great job up there. They're well coached. They got a great program going. So that's the game we're really focused on. We feel like if we do what we got to do with that game, then we'll get the momentum going and go week by week. And I know that's kind of the coaching cliche, but we got to take it one game at a time.
Sure.
And looking at the schedule, if you start picking and choosing certain games, those ones that you aren't picking are going to come back to haunt you. But it is definitely, it's not like we're going to start out easy. It's going to be a challenge right from the very get-go. And you understand winning that first game creates momentum and confidence for the kids. And so we got to go out and come to play. We're going up there. It's going to be a real challenge.
What does that game on October 10th mean for you? 50-year anniversary of West versus East. You guys are going to play on a Saturday at home. Anything big planned for that day that you know of?
Yeah, they will have different kind of festivities to try to invite alumni back. I think they're going to do campus tours, trying to get the community and alumni back on campus and kind of see what's going on at West High. And then from a football standpoint, it's just unique in that we're so used to being in that regular schedule of always playing Fridays. So you got an afternoon kickoff. I think it's going to be a 2:00 kickoff. And it just, you're out of the norm, so it'll be kind of a unique experience for our players and also for East High's players. And so we're going to kind of embrace, you're playing on college Saturday and
Yep.
afternoon game and have fun with it.
That's something Foothill and East both had their anniversaries a couple of years ago. East, it was 75th, and Foothill the 50th. And now we have West, so it's kind of a cool area. And North also had an anniversary recently, their 50th. So anyway, it's a cool era for West as well. It's a school with so much history, so much football history. Who's a guy, Mark, who we don't really know about now, but we're going to hear his names on Friday Night Highlights? Do you have a guy like that who's maybe come up from the JV, or a guy who's buried behind somebody on the depth chart who's really making waves for you in August?
Well, skill guys, I think a guy that's going to do really well for us this year is Chris Coleman. So he's
Okay.
back at quarterback. He's got a year under his belt as a sophomore. I think his maturity, his off-season working out, his fall camp practice right now, I think he's a guy that's going to play a lot better. It's hard to say on stats and all that, but I think he's a guy that's going to be a really solid factor in helping our offense go and helping us kind of scoring some points and getting on the scoreboard this year. But we have newcomers would be Josh Faulkner, who will play that slot position, and he's kind of a dynamic athlete that could run inside as well as outside, and he catches the ball really well. And then Jacob Pacino was a guy that was a really good guy for us last year that got banged around a little bit. He's in the lineup, out of the lineup, but he's a really versatile player, and he gives us a spark because he can play multiple positions, and he's got a lot of good football left in him.
You mentioned Chris starting as a sophomore, and I know you don't throw the ball a lot, but having that inexperience in that position can affect an offense in a lot of different ways.
Oh, absolutely. And, I think he's throwing the ball better, and we've got guys back at the receiver spots. So being less one-dimensional and being able to kind of spread the field horizontally but also vertically, it's going to make our offense go much better. And I think he's going to be – I expect to see him much more effective this year in doing that and helping our football team. And we got some good guys back. Josh Boyd plays on the defensive side of the ball, and he's really, really good there. But he's also a very good offensive player that can play 3 or 4 positions on offense. And so he's a guy we want to get the ball. And then Robert Haywood also is a guy that played both sides of the ball last year, and he's a great big targeted receiver. So those guys have had a really good summer, and we think they're going to do really well for us this year and really kind of create some easier throws for Chris as well.
Yeah, Robert is a nice big guy to look at when you're throwing the ball, for sure.
When you guys have that rare availability to have a bunch of returners at the skill positions too, where you return your quarterback, running back, wide receivers, how's that O-line looking for you this year to be able to kind of give them time and space to get things going?
as excited as I am about our skill guys, and I'm excited about the speed dynamic we have. I think that the skill guys, the offensive line athleticism that we have right now is very, very encouraging. It's really exciting to see. I mean, those guys are pretty athletic. They're not real tall, vertically challenged a little bit, but they move around. They're pretty tenacious. And so we've got a lot of experience back with guys with a lot of playing experience, whether they started or rotated in last year. DuBray Sanders is at center. He's had a great offseason. We have Christian Garcia and Evan Quiros, and Evan plays both sides of the ball at guard. And we have Austin Meade and Jaquez Simpkins tackles, and they played a lot of football for us last year. So I really expect good things from them. And then Cedric Boynton is on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. So those guys move well, and they're athletic, and that group, that offensive line, defensive line, there's kind of some carryover because of two-way players, but I think they're going to play well for us. I really expect them
Jalen
to.
and Jaquez related, brothers, twins?
Yes, they're brothers.
Okay.
So that's, you've mentioned a lot of returners here, and I like the politically correct, vertically challenged. It's okay, we can call them short. That's,
Well, when I look at 5'8" and 5'6", and they're both pushing 250, yeah.
those are hard.
Those are big boys.
Those are earth movers there.
Yeah.
So these returners, that amps up expectations pretty naturally among the kids, doesn't it? To say, we're not going to have a repeat of last year. We went through that, and we're better for it.
Yeah, I think the kids understand we got a good core of football players, guys that can play ball. And if they continue to get better, understand we've got to execute. We can't have any roller coaster ride. We've got to get consistent. We've got to develop that consistency. We can put a good product out in the field. I think the biggest obstacle is making sure everybody stays healthy, because sometimes you're relying on those guys to play both sides of the ball. So you lose one guy, you're losing two spots, and that's an area that it's hard to come back from. So we got to stay healthy.
Well, West High, if they can stay healthy, looking to make waves in the South Yosemite League this year. Mark Camps, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here, and good luck this year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we'll be right back on BVarsity Live Super Show. Wasco coach Russell Prado is up next.